You're going to help me with the comments as they come.
It's ridiculous, but it's wonderful.
Does anybody sing?
Badly.
Badly, yeah, me too.
Very bad.
It all depends on your enthusiasm of your singing, though.
Young children like my singing, and they all outgrow it.
Yeah,
Ramona, you don't sing so good. My dogs don't even know
there's Coco photobombing. I probably should have put up a notice that there would be a live, but I didn't. Sometimes we still have people come in. Linda's here. Hi, Linda. If everybody goes back, is everybody on the live? You can watch it and read the comments if you'd like. We probably should have set up the music first, shouldn't we? And then we could do a sing along and people could request. I don't know if I could do that with a live. Hi, Lesbia Candelaria was going to be here and couldn't come, and she's here on the live. Hi, I'm glad you could join us. If you're on the live, if you could go hit the, we got 17 people with us. We've just doubled our circle here. Mick Retop, I'm probably not saying that right. Sharon Spivey. Hello, folks. Shay's Ways. Hi, Shay's Ways. Me too. Yeah, she wishes she could be here. I wish we could have. What if we? No, we needed to. Tomorrow night we'll set up music. Tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, it helps to have something to sing along to, at least at first. We'll have the radio all set up. Tomorrow night we're doing a sing along right here. Not sure what time. Hi, Jan and Tribe. Hi, Connie. Connie, you could come for the day again. Helen Smart. Hi. C. Kirby 943. I'm here in person finally. Is that somebody here? Oh, hi. These will be in replay too. Fire does look good. Hi, Helen. One thing we're going to do on our live tonight, not just a campfire, we're actually going to talk about places to park, apps to use, how to camp, stealth versus non-stealth, trip planning, things like that. So as you're watching us live, you can tune in with questions to ask about various camping things. I think I'm going to start with Google Maps. We were talking about that for a little while here, and there's some things about Google Maps that you may not know. And you can use this on an iPhone as well. If you go to Google Maps, you can share your location. Click on the icon all the way on the top, just past the microphone where you would search on the right, and click on that. It's a drop-down menu, and you can go to location sharing. And you can put in the email of people in your family that you want to know where you are for safety reasons so that they'll always know where you are. That's location sharing on Google Maps. Another thing that you can do with Google Maps is you can find your timeline. You go to the same place, the three little dots way up in the corner on the right, and a drop down, you look for timeline. And when you get to timeline, there are different little tabs that you can click on. One of them is trips. And we were trying to see on someone here that hadn't used this timeline before if it was already recording where she's been. And I have a feeling that it does already record where you've been, which is not only nice for trips, but you did look at it?
Well, yes, and I looked at trips and I went back 10 days. And that's why I was asking if you can delete things that aren't important, like trips you didn't need, but it recorded.
It records everything.
For the last 10 days.
I think you can go back farther. Mine goes back for over a year. Oh, you picked 10 days.
Because I just wanted to see if it had already been recorded.
Right. That's good to know.
Yeah.
That you can pick the amount of time. I know that I have family members that will go back like 10 or 11 days ago or maybe a month ago and say, well, what day was it that we did such and such? What day did we buy that? And you look back and see what time you went to that store. So that's useful for more than just long term traveling. So that's a good thing. I have a lot of apps that I use. And for planning a trip, I definitely prefer Google Maps. Google seems to me, I've tried some other apps for traveling, but to me, Google Maps, I can set a location like I want to go to Chiricahua National Monument, and that's like 2 days away. So between there and there, here and there, I will search for um, like truck stops or places that I want to stay, places of interest along the way. And in Google Maps, you can add locations so you can have 10 stops along the way before you get to Chiricahua National Monument. So you can plan your stops, all of your stops for various reasons. And I don't know that all the other apps do that quite as well as Google, because after all, it's Google, right? And then you can change those around. And one of the best things about doing that trip planning, you can do it several days ahead. And then when you're done, you go back to that little map, you click done. You go back to the beginning where you can click on that three dots for the menu drop down, and you can add it to your home page. You can just let it add it to your home page, or if you click on it and hold it, you can slide that little icon wherever you want to, and then that whole trip is there for you just to click on whenever you want. If you don't do that, then you have to keep redoing it. But you can also, when you click on that icon on your home page, you can open it back up and change the order of things. Delete a stop, add a stop. You can really have your own triptych like you used to do with AAA, I think it was, right? So you can search, and as you're searching for those, and it gives you like a location, like a restaurant you think you might want to stop at, or say a laundromat. You can click on it and read more about that laundromat to see if it's in a kind of get an idea if it's in a good part of town, what the reviews are, so you can kind of look ahead. And here's another thing with Google Maps. Let's say I want to go. My favorite thing to look at Google Earth with is when I'm planning a trip and I'm looking for a truck stop. I will go to Google Earth instead of just the standard default map. And then I will spread it out, zoom in to Google Earth and see exactly how big their parking lot is, if it's the place I want to stay. I will not stay out west, Texas in particular, at the Panhandle. I saw some Love's truck stops that were the size of a corner gas station.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they may have had an area for trucks, but if they did, it was awfully small, and that's just not a place you want to stay. My preference in traveling for a free place is Denny's. I mean, a Flying J with a Denny's. It's an additional all night business that's there, and I like to park on the restaurant side because it's a big parking lot, and it's farther away from the trucks, so it's quieter, and it's a very safe place. I feel really good about particularly Denny's. I like that as well as Love's now. Um, so that's probably my number one place is a truck stop like that. It's 24 hours, has everything you need to survive, everything from restrooms. Now that's another thing. With a Denny's, you can go in the Denny's side instead of going by the checkouts where they have to say, welcome to Flying J every time you go in, dozens of times while you're there. And there's no one to greet you when you come in. It's like a private entrance, like a lobby sort of thing, if you need to go in for the restrooms or even just to buy something in a store. They have showers, which are very nice. I'm telling you, they're very clean. Better than some of the Planet Fitnesses that I've been to, for sure. Although Planet Fitness isn't bad, I consider the truck stops actually cleaner. They're much more expensive, though. They probably average about $15 at a truck stop, but they're very nice. And like I said, food, and they have laundry services there too. You can even use a credit card to do your laundry there. And you can buy all sorts of things. I've spent money in truck stops. I really spent money in truck stops. I've bought clothes and electronics things and, all sorts of things. So That's how I plan a trip, is using that. Now, sometimes when I'm looking for a place to stay, my favorite kind of is iOverlander. That's one word, iOverlander app. I like that they have reviews, and I like, they show all sorts of different things, everything from RV parks, and you can set in there, you can set it to show laundromats and Wi-Fi and restaurants and various things. I usually, you can pick which ones you want it to highlight. So there are lots of options. Um, so that's probably my next favorite thing is iOverlander because it'll pick up some things that I wouldn't think to search for. There's Campendium is another one. Dirt is another good app for finding places, sometimes for free, sometimes you have to pay for, but you can find out from there some of the places to stay along the way. Dirt, D-Y-R-T, D-Y-R-T. Some of these apps, most of them are free, but you can pay a little bit, like little bitty bit for the year to get some extra services from them. Another really important app for me is I happen to use Weather Channel weather app. There are other nice apps. I'm used to it. It's arranged to where I can find my way around because I'm used to it. But with Weather Channel, I can, it'll come right up on your location where you are. But you can also program in like a city you're going to. It might be, 100 miles away, and you want to see what's going on there. In the direction that you're going, you can see what it is. It'll show like any weather warnings. It'll tell you rain and so forth. And that's one I do pay extra for, so I can see more days ahead. It gives you access to more data days ahead, and to me, that's really helpful. That's been a lifesaver. That's why in my videos, the skies are almost always just beautiful after that first windy trip across Texas when I was running from a storm. But after that, I had pretty good skies. I was always impressed.
Time at, rainy days, or have you been able to?
No, no, there have been a couple of them, and I save up I don't just go to a hotel for luxury. I save up my hotel money for really bad weather, really serious bad weather, or a place where I just can't find, like Fort Stockton, Texas. There's no, there's no, I couldn't find any. I'm sure somebody will come on and say, "Oh, but there's this wonderful place you could have," but I didn't, and it wasn't really good weather then anyway. So I just got a hotel room for one night and then went on. Um, let's see. I think those are the main ones that I use. Anybody else here use a different one, or anybody online use another one?
Campsite.com.
Yes, that's a good one. I forgot about that. I use that too. .net. That's .net. That's freecampsites.net is another good one. Anybody else have an app you use?
I use for the weather, weather.com. I think it's very, very similar to
Yeah.
what you have. You don't have to pay for it. That does all the same thing.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for Weather Channel either, but I just got more days. It'll go quite a few more days than the free. Almost all apps have a little bit extra. Huh? I don't remember. I can't tell you.
You can do 30 days. Yeah, you can do that on weather.com.
Yeah, that might be. I'm not sure. It just happens to be the one I'm familiar with, and it was really cheap. So, I felt okay with that. Fort Stockton sucks. Van Horn is a bit better. Okay, yes, you've been there. And they had the funniest streets there. The main street through, it's really nice, wide street. There are no lines. No painted lines. Is that a parking spot? Is that a right turn here? Is that a lane for what? Where's the middle? I don't think I've ever seen a road that big with not a single little stick of thick a bit of Fort Stockton, Texas. Yeah, real flat.
Another good app for finding locations is Park 49.
What is it?
The number 4.
4
Night.
Park 4 night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and that's an app.
And it's an app you can find places to park. For sometimes it just for one night, but it's good. It gives you options of truck stop
free places.
Yeah, free places to park for a night.
I wish they had an app on casinos. Some states don't have a lot of casinos.
And actually, it picks up the casinos as
Oh,
well.
good. Well, yeah, any good app should pick up a casino for sure. But most apps don't have absolutely everything. That's why I like to look at several different apps. Or I might, if I know I'm in a state where there are casinos, I'll ask it for casinos along the route, and then I'll click on it. In Google, you can click on it and find out more about the place, if they have RVs and different things, if they have a spot for RVs and overnight, and definitely if they're 24 hours, you'd want to know that.
And another one I also is
iExit, IEXIT. And what does that one do?
It shows you all truck stops, all what coming up on your next exit, the closest rest stop.
Okay.
Going up.
Yes.
So that you know how many miles to get to that.
Does it have reviews like you can't stay overnight here, or this one was good to stay overnight? That's good. I found that New Mexico had really welcome travelers because they had nice, very nice, clean, really nice rest areas. And I remember one in particular had an office for I don't remember which branch of the law enforcement it was, a law enforcement officer's office there. So you know that it was patrolled and would have felt safe. I didn't happen to stay in that one, but there's Arizona didn't seem quite as welcoming. Their bathrooms weren't as pretty as New Mexico. It was like they didn't spend as much on that. People can't hear. Yeah, I'm sure that's probably true. So we really have to project a little bit more, or I'll try to repeat what people say also. Hi, Maria. RV Parky app on occasion, Maribeth said. Yeah, that's a good one. To go inside loves and let them know you're staying there. Yes. I like to let people know when I'm staying somewhere. We'll talk about stealth in a minute, but I don't consider these places that I have stayed, like 99% of them, I don't consider them stealth. I want them to know that I'm there. Casinos want to know you're there, and because they do have security guards patrolling in casinos, think all the money that's there. Of course, they have security guards out there, but they may have a list of the license plates, and you'd want to be on that list that you had registered. So I think it's an extra safety measure. If they welcome you to be there and they want you to sign in, it's to your benefit to do that. I even heard of that for the first time at Bass Pro Shops. They want you to sign in there too, because they want to have the license plates of people that were good enough. If you're out there trying to stealth and you don't have your license plate registered with them, they think maybe you're up to no good. I don't know. That's my opinion.
If something happens to you, they have a record that you were there.
Right. Well, also, if you did something evil, they can find you easier. So that's another way of looking at it from both sides. You might be safer. They're probably not going to knock on your door if they already know you were there and you asked. I mean, I know some people that stealth is kind of an adventurous thing for them, and that's fine too if that's what you want to do. We'll talk about that. But I do like to let them know. And let me give you two examples that were really very sweet to me. One time when I was at a Cracker Barrel, which I do like staying at Cracker Barrels if there are other people camping there. I like that very much. But one time there was a sheriff there, and I won't go into the whole story about it, but they said it wasn't safe to stay there. So I asked the sheriff where would be a safe place to go for the night. And they told me the directions this was my first Love's truck stop. Right up there by Fort Myers, there's a Love's truck stop. And he said, you go up there and you'll be safe and you can talk to the manager. So I go in and I talk to the manager. And that manager was so nice. I said, the sheriff told me this was a safe place for me to park for the night. And he was so sweet. He gave me his card and he wrote his cell phone number on it. They said, if you get nervous, you call me. I'll be here all night. Was that not sweet? Now that's why I loved Love's. And another time, I think it was at a Love's. I was having the mouse car problems, the wiring, and I didn't know what it was yet. But they were going to come and tow my car the next day, and here it was there at the Love's. I was getting gas when I wouldn't start. Well, a few minutes later, it kind of did start and it would kind of sputter and it was going along. And I got into a parking space, but I went in and told them that I might be there for a couple of days because it was going to have to be towed and they couldn't tow it there until Monday. And this was like a Friday or Saturday. And they were so nice. They said, and here's a clue that I hadn't heard before. In this particular Loves, they said, do you have an out of state plate? And I said, yes, I have a Florida plate. And she said, well, then security won't bother you. I never knew they had security. I didn't know they had security. But anyway, I don't know that they all do. But they know if you're traveling there, you're welcome there. They were trying to keep the local people from living there. That's what it was. But they were so nice. In fact, I went into the ladies' room and found this phone there. So I went up to the desk and said, somebody left their phone. And she said, oh, that's mine. And I did that 3 times. I went in there to that same restroom and her phone was there. And then the day I left, she knew why I was there and everything. I said, this looks familiar. And I went like this. I put it behind my back and I said, what are you going to do when I'm not here? So she bought me lunch. I thought that was sweet. They're very cooperative. Don't be afraid to ask them. Sometimes I call ahead, like it might be a Cracker Barrel or some kind of place or a casino. I'll call ahead and say, do you allow overnight parking? Now, if you say, I used to say RV parking, then they're thinking you need an RV size things. And so now I don't say either way. I say overnight parking and I'm in a van. So I don't need a lot. I just need a place to stay for the night, and I'd like to come in for dinner. And they may say, yeah, sure, or they may say, please come in and register. And I don't mind registering. I think it's a safety issue. So that's casinos. I really like those. And always, the bigger the parking lot, the better to me. And I'm not going to hide in a corner where it's dark and pretend like I'm stealth camping. You look suspicious. Park right up there, not in front where customers are going in and out. But don't be off in a corner somewhere. It looks suspicious, right? Um, Buc-ee's, I just heard recently they don't people do it, but they don't allow it.
Yeah. I asked last time I was there just because I was curious.
Right, right. It's a huge truck stop.
I love Buc-ee's. Once you go into a Buc-ee's, you'll always go back.
Well, that's what someone said to me, and so I was wondering if they had overnight camping too, but I guess
No. So casinos and here's some places that people I can't think of any other, but well, of course, boondocking on Bureau of Land Management. When you hear BLM boondocking, they're talking about Bureau of Land Management, public lands owned by the federal government in general. And there's a lot of that out west. There's not so much here in the east. People talk about various places where you can do it here, even in Florida, but it's not as common as out west.
I'm surprised by the number of city parks. Now, I don't know how to go about finding those.
You search for city parks, city camping parks.
City camping parks?
Mm-hmm. Also county parks. Sometimes city and county parks are less busy because people only look up state parks or RV parks, and they don't necessarily look for city and county. And I've run into quite a few of those that are first come, first serve, which are taking your chances to get there, which is why a lot of people don't get there because they don't want to drive there and then find it's full. So don't be afraid of that if you've got a plan B. There are some that are free. Yeah.
And also the water management areas in Florida, we have a lot of those, and they're free. You just have to go online and get your permit.
Right.
And some of them are quite nice.
She's talking about, if you couldn't hear her, she's talking about Florida water management districts, like the Southwest Florida we call Swift Mud, and the different water management districts in Florida. You just look that up, Google it again.
I was like, what are you Googling?
Yes, water management districts in Florida. And then there you can either call them and ask them about camping, or you may be able to find it on their website.
They have on their website, look online, they have a website for each district.
5 districts.
Yeah, and it tells you all the different places.
Right. They
So
describe the
that's my
camping,
question.
and you have to register online, and most of them are free.
What's
A
the
permit.
what's the website that gives you all the districts?
Google it.
Florida Water Management District.
But if you Google it, you'll find it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good tip. Let me repeat that for them. Each water management district in Florida, and there are 5 of them, you have to create a different login. In other words, an ID and a password for each one of them. And then you can register and get a reservation on these. And they're pretty much primitive campsites, aren't they? Primitive, the water management? No hookups. Bathrooms, that's good. Uh-huh.
They're all very different.
It'll describe it on the website. Yeah.
But it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all different.
But it depends. Each one is different.
Yeah, you just have to look it up. Right. Okay. There are some bridges and fishing piers that you can go to and park that I've heard people talking about in Florida. Skyway people have talked about. I haven't ever done that, but I've heard about it. Huh?
Say that again.
Skyway Bridge, right beside the bridge, not on the bridge.
What is Skyway Bridge?
Oh, it goes between Tampa and St. Pete, right? It's a very long, tall bridge, and but before you get on it, there is some. I think it's going south, and I think it's to the right, but I'm not sure. Just look it up. Yeah. Going back to kind of stealth camping, some pretty safe places. I know some people like to stealth camp because to them it's fun, it's thrilling, and that's fine. That's wonderful. Some of the places that people do that, and I'll list my least favorite and then go to my most favorite. My least favorite would be neighborhoods. Although I have a friend who that's her favorite place to go is a neighborhood, not the fanciest and not the worst. Something kind of in the middle. And you'll see lots of videos on that. Even Chrome from Van City Van Life even has videos where he shows where he would park and the kind of places of parking that he would prefer. Yeah, that's the Skyway. Yeah, that you're not camping on top of it.
Let me just say this to the world. Oh, hell no. I don't want to drive over this thing.
I know, it's pretty scary.
What?
You've never been.
Yeah. Yeah, once you're up there, it's not. It feels pretty solid.
Bridge phobia, and little bridges freak me out. This is like making my heart palpitate.
Just looking at it.
Images.
Well, bless your heart, as they say.
My little heart. Say it again.
It took me 15 years before I crossed that bridge. So I totally understand because I have.
That's the stuff of nightmares.
So I would drive around.
Yeah, that's a long way.
This house in Tampa. I went up 75 and came in.
Okay, so I'll make that a bucket list to do, like when I think it's my last year of life.
Yeah. Right.
Hi, Maria. Yes, I'm still in Florida.
Close my eyes, like sort of peek, and I'd have such a grip on the steering wheel that it couldn't unfold my hand.
Oh,
all right, that's
had a cramp. Here's one person. Sharon Spivey says that Buc-ee's has let her stay in their parking lot overnight during horrible weather. She did ask a manager, and he said it was fine to stay safe. So I really approve of asking.
In certain circumstances.
Yeah, where it's safety.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Bucky's.
If you ask.
Sharon Spivey said they let her stay during horrible weather, and she asked, and they wanted her to stay safe. So I think that's very reasonable.
Probably situational. Yeah.
Yeah, and Thinking Kingdom Thought says hospital parking lots. I got a knock in a hospital parking lot because I wasn't in the right place. I was like parked practically in front of the offices. There was a few cars there, but I thought, well, I got a nice car. It looks like a doctor's car or something. I'm thinking that, and I wasn't parked off, and I didn't back in. I wasn't doing anything suspicious, but I did get a knock. I didn't answer because they were not police. I could see them because I have my cameras all the way around. I don't have to open my windows, and I didn't answer.
Wait,
I didn't
I
answer.
want to hear more about these cameras all around.
Yeah, it has cameras all the way around. In fact, I can, if the car's running, a car has to be running, and it happened to have been running when they knocked on it, but it was on electric, so I guess they didn't know it was running. But anyway, I could see that it was not police. And I am not opening my door or window.
Nope.
Not. If I knew it was police, it'd be different. They went away. It wasn't a really big deal. I don't know what their question even was. But hospital parking lots could be okay if you are more in the
You have to go in the
visitors area, and I'm sure I was not. I was probably in a clinic area where I shouldn't have been. Visitors area, and people say if they have a large emergency room parking lot where there's plenty and there's hardly anybody there, maybe. Otherwise, I would never take a spot in an emergency room parking lot where some family might need it. It's only would be in a very large hospital when nobody was there. That would be an exception. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Better off in the visitors parking lot because the ambulances can come through. Very true.
parking lot? Yes, into the like I said, the hospital parking lot, the place, also the police department. The good place to park, and they'll let you park there.
The police department, she's saying that if you let the police know that you're there, that you need a safe place to park for the night. That's not in a tiny little town where they only have room for their one car. But yeah, that's another case of asking first. I've heard people use fire departments and police departments, and just you're here for one night. Play the age card if you're a little old lady like me.
I can't drive another.
Yes, what you're given. Play the hand you're given. I'm so tired and I really can't drive at night. Could I just stay here for the night, please? Apartments sometimes have a visitor parking area, and if it's late at night when you get there, nobody's there, you're probably okay there. I've stayed in hotels a couple of times without a room in the parking lot for sure. It was nice. I won't name the hotel. It was a nice hotel. It was a town where there wasn't much other kind of free parking. I don't think there was a truck stop or any other thing around. It was a rather isolated town. And I stayed in this hotel parking lot twice. One of them, I picked a side of the building that didn't have hardly any windows at all. And there was not a garbage can that, their employees would be bringing out garbage all night. So it wasn't by the front door. And the next night I went back to that same nice hotel and I saw that there was electric vehicle charging like right practically in front of the front door over a little way so they weren't really looking at me, and there was a police car sitting facing toward me. I don't think there was anyone in it, but I'm not sure why they were there to get a room, the police department. Anyway, I felt perfectly comfortable plugging my car in. It did not say for visitors only. It did not say for customers only. I just plugged in and slept there all night, charging my car for free. I've done that in casinos too. And there's like in Dunedin, there's a senior center where it's free to plug in. And I just plug in and sleep there because people are leaving their Teslas right beside me all night. Somebody drops it off and goes away. So if you got an EV, that's another option. Trailheads. Yeah, that's true too. Trailheads overnight for free.
make sure you check for signs because some of them do have signs.
Check for signs, always. I've only stayed the night in one Walmart parking lot that I remember at all, and I'm sure I'm like almost 100% sure that was only one time, and that was because there were a lot of other nice RVs there, and I always feel safer if there are other campers there, and you know I'm just not going to stay in an empty parking lot all by myself. I don't care if it's, well, I would in a truck stop. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I would because they're 24 hours and very well lit. That would be the only exception. Otherwise, Cracker Barrel, no. Casinos are not going to be empty. I've never seen one with an empty parking lot. 24 hours, that's a key. That's the thing about Cracker Barrel. You're allowed to stay there. That's perfectly all right. They've got nice parking lots. Some are better lit than others. But if you're there by yourself, you're there by yourself. You know, you're allowed to be there, but I'm not comfortable. That's just me. I have boondocked up in the mountains and on Bureau of Land Management land, and I was comfortable in the ones where I was because there were a lot of other campers around. I'm just not. I wish I was one of those. No, maybe I don't. For me, I should say, I don't want to be off where there's no one within 1,000 miles. You know, if I scream, nobody would hear that kind of thing. You know, I just don't. Maybe I'll mature to that, but I'm not sure I want to.
The good news is you don't have to.
I don't have to. Thank you.
Because I don't want to go off by, I'd like to be there. Like, oh, yeah, Jan's over there.
Yes, she can hear me if I scream.
Mhm.
Here's the thing. If you're in your car and you need help, and I don't hear people talk about it too much. I know you can push the panic button, but how often do you hear that and think, oh, they'll turn it off in a minute?
Mhm.
But if you use your horn, and I'm not sure of the SOS thing, but if you put any kind of pattern and you keep repeating it, someone's going to say something's going up. If you don't remember the SOS, you know, Morse code, I think it's like dot, dot, dash, dot, dot, dash, you know, just do it,
Okay, well,
dot,
that's something
dot,
we need to
dash,
learn.
dot, dot, dash, dot, dot. And I could be wrong about that because I think I read one time it was 3 dashes, but I don't care what it is. If you don't remember that, pick a pattern, keep repeating it. No, that sounds like a party.
Well, then at least maybe they'll come tell me to shut up.
Yeah. But pick a pattern and keep doing that same pattern, and someone's going to get curious. You know, that sounds kind of strange, but look up Morse code for SOS. Anybody here on the live know what SOS is? Three short, one long, and three short.
3 short.
One.
Say it again. 3 short, 1 long,
Three short, because it's SOS. And that'll do it. Even if people don't know Morse code, if they don't know what that is, it's going to sound,
The middle.
somebody probably needs help. You know, it's like a flare going up, you know?
The middle is long.
Beep, 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 beep.
Here's one, dot, 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 dash, dash, dash. I've read that. Dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, dot, dot. I did read that somewhere. But I think either one would get attention. Yeah, 3 dashes and 3 dots. Yes, that's the best thing. But I mean, there could be some circumstance, you know.
In the middle of having a stroke, you could have a heart attack. You could be, something could be happening to you physically.
And your car or your car. Yeah.
And you're trying to let
Somebody know, yeah. It's a way of signaling if you ever need it. And yes, number one thing to do for safety is turn that thing on and go, go, go. I mean, if I've had somebody ask me in the comments, her husband was trying to discourage her from going on her own. And he was trying to scare her. And he says, what if this gang comes up and slits all 4 of your tires, you know, and you're trapped there? Well, okay. You could even outrun them by driving on no tires. You can go away. Heck with the wheels. Go, go. That's not going to do it. And how far are you going to get in your house?
Yeah, thank you.
If they're breaking your windows in your house, how far are you driving that house? What kind of gas mileage you got on your apartment?
But I'm here, baby.
Yeah, I'm here. I'll protect you.
Yeah.
Well, my theory is if somebody breaks that window and there's an arm is coming in, I got all kinds of stuff. That arm is not coming out in the same condition it went in. All kinds of stuff are happening to that arm. and a car window, a car is built to withstand as much as they can a certain degree of a crash on the road. The windows are going to be stronger, in my opinion, than an apartment window where you just go plink and you don't even hear it. You're going to have to bash pretty hard to crack in my opinion, a car window. Whereas a car, I mean, like you've seen those beautiful, I love those doors with the glass, like fancy glass oval in the door. It's just beautiful. But I do know how delicate that glass is. So I feel just as safe in my vehicle because I can go away. When we're in an apartment, you're trapped.
I think the truth is that for I don't do this full time, but for the people out there doing this full time and everything, statistically speaking, you're most at risk when you're driving. So, when you're on the highway, you're in more danger than you are when you're parked over here in your camp spot.
I'm only going to try, I do my best to only park in safe places where people know I'm there and people are around. It's 24 hours. There are other campers. It's places that I'm not going to be off in some lonely place, or in a bad neighborhood.
Crazy is going to happen wherever crazy is, but it's statistically not out here.
Right. Well, anything, I want someone, now you'll probably come up with something, but in general, try to think of something that could happen to you on the road that could not also happen to you wherever you came from.
I'm still wanting to know where that piece of space stuff is about to land.
What's that again?
I said, I'm still wondering where that piece of space debris that's now defunct is landing. Have y'all heard about that? Yes. I was like, okay, that's coming down. That's a real thing. Where's that going?
Oh, the space thing coming from the sky. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's one that it was decommissioned years ago.
And it's going to fall down.
It's falling somewhere soon.
Well, good. I'm in a vehicle. I can run from it when I see that streak in the sky. You're in a house, you're stuck.
Don't chase the meteors.
You go away from the meteors. No, but statistically, far more people are attacked in a home or if you're driving. If I was going between Williston, Florida, and Gainesville, Florida, anything could happen on the road there that could have happened to me going in any state in the U.S. There's just I don't see any difference. So I don't.
And I think that was my point. I mean, you're just more. Your accidents are going to be your biggest. Car accidents are going to be your biggest risk, not somebody trying to come in your car and while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Supposed to happen will happen. There's nothing you can do about it, and
I don't know about all that.
You can't be afraid. You got to live your life and do what you want to do.
This is not rehearsal. Right. You got to go do it. If you want to do it. Well, let's talk about that. This is not for everybody. You might want to watch the videos on it, but I'm not trying to recruit anybody into van life. I'm having one hell of a good time. But if you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'm not trying to convince anybody to do it. Some things are take a little longer, or to me, it's an adventure. Some of us were talking about it today. It's kind of like you're a pioneer woman. You're being independent. You are self-sufficient. You're figuring things out. You're learning. It's a challenge. And then there's the freedom, and that's the payoff. That's the absolute payoff. If you watch that last video with Lulu, I hope you're on here. Hi, Lulu. Everybody, and really all the van tours I've done, I would like to go back and download the videos again and take that last little bit off and put all of those together. When I ask people, what is this doing for you? How do you feel about this? And what if you had to go back, especially the ones that were full-time, what if you had to go back and live in sticks and bricks? And the first one that answered that question was Sherry, who was in Nomadland, the movie Nomadland. And she said it'd be a death sentence for her. It'd be a death sentence. You know, people always said, well, we'll try to get you a place to live. She didn't want to. She said, look at all this, the freedom that I have, and I'm living life. Said basically she's living life to the fullest, and she didn't want to be in jail. You know, stuck in the. And almost everybody that I have interviewed ever has always said that. I'd love to go back and get them all and just string them together. Just those kind of comments. I would like to see it. I don't know if anybody else will watch it, but I would love to see it.
And you know, again, too, because I did 1 year when I first retired in an RV, and that's what I was going to do. And then I figured out that that was not for me. And
Mhm.
so I got back into an apartment. And what I have figured out is for me, the part-time thing works because I want to
Mhm.
go travel, like I said before, between Maine and Florida and Texas, visiting grandchildren, and then
Right.
go off on my little adventures.
Right.
But for me, there's a hypervigilance that part of my brain is always having to pay attention when I'm traveling or in my vehicle. When I'm in my home space, that hypervigilance is turned off. And I
Mhm.
found that for me, I need that break.
Mm.
So I like being able to go, okay, I'm home. My safety lock is on. I'm on the third floor. I'm good. And so my brain turns completely off, it, considering about I'm not listening for anything, you
Mhm.
know. So for some people who are in that hypervigilant state and need a break for that, it's good to have that place.
I have had some comments from people who had hyper anxiety, and I wonder maybe you shouldn't go. If you're, I mean, if you can overcome that, then more power to you. I have more respect for you by far than someone like me who took off with no fear. I have great respect for people who can overcome that. Seriously, that's true bravery.
Wasn't
If
that
you take
what-
off and you're not scared, that's not brave. If you take off and do it anyway and you're still scared, that's brave. That's someone to be respected, really. But if you can't overcome that, you know, if you don't want to overcome that,
was that
take
one of
short
the
trips
people
once in a while. But
that was
No,
here
not
this
here.
time? Or who
No.
was it that said, was either one of your interviews somewhere? I saw someone talking about that, and they said
Oh
they were,
yes, and she overcame it.
and
Yes.
she's like, in my car when I'm out here, I don't have it. I'm not
Mhm.
bothered by what was it? It was agoraphobia.
Yes, fear of the
You know,
marketplace. Yes.
yeah. So I don't remember who or where I
Um,
saw her.
there have been more than one. I've had several interviews with people who had anxiety before they
Yeah,
took off on
she
the
said she
road.
didn't have agoraphobia living in her car, but she did in Sticks and Bricks.
Hmm.
Like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. You know, there are a lot of people who can't go because of financial situations or because of family commitments or they're working or there are a lot of circumstances where someone couldn't just take off and go. And some of those people watch YouTube and you know they get the feeling of getting out and it's a really positive thing for them. Let me see if I've got some more questions here. Kenneth Bailey said, "Don't worry, we won't knock on your window." LOL. No, I don't know. Are you working at a hotel maybe or a hospital? When you understand frequency and your own personal bandwidth, none of those things you all are referring to happen when you stay above contentment. Well, that must be. I mean, I left with no fear. My only fear, I wasn't afraid of people. I was just afraid of my body breaking down at 71, you know? And, but that hadn't happened. I've been healthier than I would have been had I been sitting in that recliner. If they break the windows, they should be eating bear spray. um, I love what y'all are doing. Enjoy your evening. Yes, you're in more danger driving. Yeah, that's true. But if you don't, unless you don't drive at all, then there's always going to be that risk if you're ever driving anywhere. Then you don't have to be going across the country for it to be dangerous. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can have an accident anywhere. Part time. Yeah, a lot of people like the part time idea. Thank you, Maria. Jan's a natural at this. I don't know about that. Lucky to have friends who let me use their property with home on an acre of land as my home base, and I can come and go as I want. That's great. I wish I had a car and could travel. I'm living vicariously through you ladies, and thanks for the cool videos. Thank you. Good night. Do you think parking in a rest area, rest stops? Most rest stops, yes. But my rule is always if there are other campers. That's where I feel comfortable. I do not want to be alone in any parking lot anywhere. That's just my rule. That's just me. I'm reading some more comments here. Won't knock on your door. They're saying hi to each other. Talk amongst yourself. 3 short blasts, 3 long blasts, 3 short blasts of the horn. So that's another confirmation of the SOS Morse code. My dad taught me that. He was a ham radio person. Well, that's probably it. Several people are saying 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. But if you don't remember that, just make up your own pattern and keep at it. That's a good thing to remember, though, I think. My mom is doing good. Hello from Idaho. Looks like fun. Sharing is caring. They certainly are coming down on the van life people. Oh, yeah. As far as parking, various cities or states are making laws that you can't sleep in your car. And I've heard people say things like even stopping, even during the daytime, they don't want you staying there too long or something like that. They're trying to crack down. What a delightful meeting. Thank you, Kenneth. Popped in for a minute. Hope everything is going well for you. Yes, it is. You can see that. We're having fun. Tomorrow night, we're going to have a drum circle and sing along. Now, how fun is that? And I'm hoping some people will come on the live and make requests. We're going to use Pandora, and we'll be able to put some songs on if you're on the live tomorrow night, probably around 6 or 6:30. And if you have your notification bell on, then you'll know when we come up with a live, because it'll be just kind of impromptu whenever we're ready. Greetings from Maryland. 50 degrees in South Carolina. High of 72 was here today. That was the weather. I'm going back in time. Yes, I'm still in Florida. This meetup is in Florida. Michigan. California. RV Parky app on occasion. Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned that one or not. State parks in Texas, $12 a night. Security and rangers were great. That's good to know. And always when you're parking, if you're over 65, some places it's 62, it might even be 55, but ask if there's a senior discount. You could get half off. I did in Arkansas, and I'm not a resident of Arkansas.
Well, I just found out that Florida is 65. I thought it was 62. So I signed up for the senior rate when it went to the state parks. They it was 62, and they didn't check whether I was 65 or not. So, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah. We've got Kim from Ontario, Canada. Great conversation. It's really scary taking off alone, but when I do and hit the road, the fear turns to excitement and eventually to adventure and fun. How perfect. Thank you. With Travels with Tia the Terror is that person. When I was doing public speaking and I was helping and kind of mentoring other people for public speaking, as I was a spokesperson for nonprofits. And I also was a speaker in business. I was in financial services, and it was so long ago that there were almost no women doing it, almost none. So, they wanted me to get up and talk to like hundreds of people just because they didn't have any other woman to get up and talk. And But it's a people would ask you, "Oh, are you nervous? I know you got to get up and speak tonight. Are you nervous?" This applies to taking off on your own. Anytime you're feeling nervous or scared, that feeling when you're nervous, when your heart is beating and you're a little tensed up, that's the same as when you're excited.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let yourself say you're nervous. Don't let anybody ask you if you're nervous. I'm just talking in general. Tweak that a little bit. It's the same thing. Your body is still reacting the same as excitement. Just say, "No, I'm excited." And pretty soon it's just gonna it'll change your attitude about it too. I mean, you need to have a little fear. Fear is a useful thing in certain circumstances. Got to be aware, right?
So I'm going to be very excited when I drive over that bridge.
Yes, you'll be so excited. Well, I'm going on a roller coaster. I'm not really crazy about roller coasters. Huh? What's that? There is debilitating fear. There is. And that would be a very hard thing to turn debilitating fear. But that's more of a, I'm talking about just the mid range of people. I don't want to say normal, but I mean the mid range of people, most people, let's say. There is extreme fear and there's a lack of fear, and that can be dangerous. With no fear whatsoever, as in just flinging it out there, not taking precautions and so forth. That's the other end of the stick, as the other end of the candle. I Right in the middle, the average person can, if they think about it hard enough, and they practice it, you can. And that's what I did with public speaking. Some people are more afraid of public speaking than a lot of other things. It's like death to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did with that was turn that feeling from fear to excitement, and pretty soon I was excited about doing it. And there were some other little tricks I had for making it easy. I could go into that too, as far as I'd sit up in front and I'd kind of sit way over in the corner so I could sit sideways and look out at people. And don't let anybody ever tell you, think of them naked. Oh no, how scary is that? I mean, oh no, I'll run. But I pictured them as little kids because we're all just a veneer of adult. There's that little kid in there for everybody. I don't care how many three-piece suit guys there were sitting there. They're all just a little kid inside. All are vulnerable. And I pictured them with a big giant lollipop and all of them sitting on tricycles. And they weren't the least bit scary. There's just little tweaks like that, I think, as far as fear goes, that if you want to overcome it, that's a technique you might want to try. Don't overlook medication. Thank you.
Hello.
That's a good point. Counseling and medication, yeah. But it's like I said before, it's not necessarily for everybody. I mean, for someone who can't do this, if you have a porch, go sit on the porch. Even if you have to go to the window, watch the sunset, get some fresh air. Appreciate the sky, which is hard to do in Florida because pretty much it's trees.
When I lived in Austin for a long time, I didn't get to go anywhere. I was working so much. But I every weekend would take my dogs for a walk, and I hunted for flowers in the cracks of the sidewalk, wherever I saw them, and wherever it was, I stopped and took a moment to just appreciate it, just like I had come across it in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
But I have an off-topic question for
Sure,
your
that's good.
audience. Is it just a campfire thing, or does everyone out there also go, "Oh my God, it's only 7:40"?
Yeah, that's right. It is
7:39.
it's 7:39 here, and we're all it's like swimming.
What?
How after you go swimming you get hungry, maybe after campfires you get sleepy. I don't know.
It feels like, okay, it's bedtime. We've had several people that have already gone up and go, okay, I'm done. I'm going
Yeah.
up. And I was like, okay, I think I might.
I think it's hypnotizing, mesmerizing. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why I'm wondering, is it just us here, or do the people out there in the
Any of the audience, do you
Yeah.
get tired watching a fire? Does it
Does it-
mesmerize you to sleep?
I want to know if it feels late to them.
Oh, where you are right now, does it feel late to you? Does it already feel late at night?
in a house with light and everything else, probably not.
Probably not.
I mean, we're
It's the
sitting in the dark.
darkness that turns on the melatonin or something like
That's
that.
what it is. Like, okay. 'Cause I'm-
The fresh air all day. Yeah.
Yes, it does feel late, Kay said. And Kay, I don't know how many of you travel outside of Florida. And most of where did you come? Let's talk first. Let's go around and say what state you came from. Where were you?
I'm just an hour and a half away in Jackson.
Oh, okay. And how far did you come?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Tampa, Florida.
Tampa.
Ocala, Florida.
Ocala, Florida. A few minutes away. Lee.
Actually, I came from Massachusetts, even though I live in Boynton Beach.
Yes, she was in Massachusetts and drove to Florida for the meetup, but she does live in Florida in Boynton Beach.
Sarasota.
Sarasota. All right. I can't see in the dark, but Orange Park, Florida. A lot of Florida.
Florida,
5-hour drive. Janet, South Carolina. 6-hour drive. And Peggy? Oh, I'm sorry. I missed you in the dark. How far? 1 hour north. Good for you. Peggy?
Michigan.
Michigan. Wow. You get the prize.
Michigan. Gaylord. I know where that is. Okay. I grew up in Michigan.
Yeah.
Let's go through Gaylord. Go to Traverse City. Yeah.
My goodness, I was grown when I realized that there was really no, I wasn't. I take that back. I was in public school somewhere in upper elementary when I figured out there was really a Kalamazoo, Michigan, because when I was little, my mother always told us, if you girls don't behave, I'm gonna pack you off to Kalamazoo, Michigan. I thought it was fake. I thought she was making that up.
Like-
So when I finally saw it, I went, oh.
So some of us came from far, but most of us came from Florida. And how many of you, just like raising your hands, how many of you travel outside of the state instead of just in Florida? Are you most outside of the state?
I will.
Okay. Right. So, well, obviously you do. You're not in Florida. So about half of us do travel outside of the state also. I certainly do. I want to see the world. Not yet.
I haven't done it in
Plans.
camping mode yet, but I've had to do it. Like I said, when my son was in the car accident this summer, I drove down there. But that's when I realized I got to do something else because that was 2 nights in hotels just getting there to Texas.
Yeah, when I lived in New England, I went to the New England states camping, all of them. And when I lived in Virginia, but I've always camped in whatever state I'm in. I mean, New England, several states, but it's still considered.
Does anyone remember their very first in life as a child or whenever camping trip?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah.
I was 22.
You were 22?
Yeah. I was 30 something. I was probably 6.
When you first went camping, is that what? Yeah.
We camped on Lake Superior.
Yeah. Wow.
I think I was at I think I
8.
was a teenager, and that was when they sent us to camp. So I was at a camp in Spring, Texas.
I
Yeah.
was probably about 8, so I don't remember.
You look like you're holding a baby there. And of course, you are holding your baby there.
For just a nanosecond, I went, what is that?
That is her baby.
That's her little dog. Such a little lap dog, I'll tell you. She's snuggled up there nice and warm. It is a little chilly here.
It is.
There's you can see the moss in the tree. Somebody has their lights on.
Of course I can.
We had a beautiful moon last night. I don't know where it is.
It's gonna come up.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, it's still early.
Yeah, it is early. Well, some of these people that are talking to us here online are in states where it is earlier. It's like it's 2 or 3 hours earlier than this. So and a lot of people get tired or sleepy just because it gets dark.
When the sun
Unless
goes
you're
down.
inside with the lights on, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wind it up here.
Me too.
Tomorrow night's drum circle and sing along, and we'd love for some of you to come along with us and suggest some things to play on. We're going to be using Pandora. You won't have to listen just to us sing. We're going to do a campfire sing along tomorrow night, and can't really say what time because we're all just appreciating our freedom here. We don't want to be locked into a time. So, but it should be a little after dark, probably 5:30. I'm sorry, 6 or 6:30 tomorrow night, live, and that's Eastern time. So, thank you all for coming to our little campfire here. We appreciate all of you, and we'll see you tomorrow night about the same time. Good night, everybody.
Night.